Joining us now, Commander of U.S. Northern Command, General Terrence O'Shaughnessy. He is leading the war against COVID-19 for the Department of Defense and directing the Pentagon's operations in support of FEMA. General, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, on many levels, this is a national security issue. Tell us what your teams have been able to do, what the DoD has been able to do to shore up this country in the fight against the virus.
Yeah, thank you, Mika. Right now, we have over 16,000 airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines all over this great nation that are providing support right where they need it, on the front lines with our healthcare workers. And whether it's New York City or some of the other states that we're in, we're there to provide what do the state and local officials need. We're there to provide them the assistance and the relief valve in some cases. But this is a war. This is a campaign that we're on. We are across the nation right now providing that assistance.
Willie.
General Willie Geist, good to have you on with us this morning. There are sites in New York City, for example, that most New Yorkers have never seen before. Floating hospitals, sailing into New York Harbor past the Statue of Liberty, field hospitals in Central Park. The Javits Center turned into a field hospital as well. You've described this as a war. You just mentioned that again. So from your point of view, how is the war going?
Yeah, thanks, Willie. I think the war is going extremely well, and I really have to take my hat off to the frontline workers. It's the healthcare workers that are in these hospitals day in and day out, working their way through this, providing the care and assistance that our nation needs. And that's where we're focusing our attention right now. You mentioned the Comfort and the Javits Center as some very key areas that we're providing that assistance. But what we also found was, because of the great support from the citizens, that we've been able to mitigate, flatten the curve. We're actually finding that the hospitals have the capacity, but as one of your earlier guests mentioned, it's the staffing of the hospitals right now that's the biggest problem. And so we're not only manning the Comfort, manning the Javits Centers, but across the nation, we're also pushing our doctors and nurses and med techs forward into the hospitals. In New York City alone, we're in 10 different hospitals there with over 500 doctors and nurses in Queens and Bronx and Brooklyn and Manhattan, providing that assistance that they need right now. And I'll give an example in Newark. Our team went into a hospital in Newark. They have 664 staff members there. Over 200 of them had called in sick that day. And so we're providing that assistance that is needed on the front lines for those healthcare workers.
When the Comfort came to New York City and when the Javits Center was set up as a field hospital, as you know better than I do, General, they were supposed to take some of the pressure off New York City hospitals that would be overwhelmed by COVID patients. That didn't quite happen, and so then they were opened up to COVID patients. Did you view that as a good sign that perhaps the hospitals in New York City were doing better than we thought they would be doing and therefore didn't need that additional relief from the Comfort and from the Javits Center?
Absolutely. This is a success story. And the success is that the capacity of the hospitals is able to take the vast majority of the patients. Right now, for example, we have 74 patients on the Comfort. We have 334 in the Javits Center. We've taken over 1,000 patients on those two facilities alone. And we have provided some of that relief, but it's not to the extent that we thought it was going in. And what we say in the military is no plan survives contact with the enemy. This was no different. But we adapted our fire. We changed what we were doing. So we wanted to be able to support exactly what the New York City citizens needed. And that's why we're pushing the doctors directly into the hospitals right now. And then we're changing all across the nation. Whatever our nation needs, that's what we're going to be able to provide for support.
General Mike Barnicle has a question for you. Mike?
General, first of all, thank you for being there when your country needs you. We appreciate it. Secondly, the question, what are your biggest daily logistical challenges, and what shortages, if any, do you have to deal with on a daily basis?
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for highlighting that. One of lessons learned from so many military campaigns is, at the end of the day, it comes down to logistics. And this is no different than what we're facing right now. And to give a couple quick examples, when we were looking at the COVID game plan and we decided that we were going to change what we were doing on the Comfort and go from non-COVID patients to accepting any patients of that high trauma, high urgency care, that we actually needed different equipment. And so we actually found we needed these pressure suits in order to do surgery for a high-end trauma case. You need to have a pressure suit if you might have a COVID patient. So we found pressure suits. There were none available in the New York City area, but we found them down in Virginia. We flew them up in a helicopter and had them there in a matter of hours. So those are the types of things we're doing on the logistics side. Is we're finding what we need. We're using all of our military assets to get it there and making sure that our forward troops have exactly what they need.
How many troopers are under your command, in this command?
Well, specific to this mission set, we have 16,000 that are forward deployed right now on this mission set, but we also have a critically important mission defending our homeland. And that's what we do day in and day out, and it doesn't change just because we're fighting the COVID virus as well. And so we have folks doing ballistic missile defense on my NORAD hat. We have folks that are ready to respond with their fighter jets, their command and control aircraft, their command centers across the nation. And of course, we have to be able to maintain that ability even in the COVID environment. So we have those crews isolated. We have the teams that are making sure that we have what we call mission assurance, because we can't stop defending our homeland. And we've seen with the Russians, for example, twice in the last couple of weeks. They've flown their aircraft close to our great nation, and we've had to respond to them. And so we have not missed a beat. We're making sure we have no vulnerabilities, and we are there to defend our nation.
General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, thank you so much for your service and for everything that you're doing right now.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.